NFL draft nerds, Baltimore Ravens fans, welcome into Rogue Football. Today we're looking at the 2025 Baltimore Ravens through the lens of their 2025 draft class and then kind of expanding on that, looking at how I think 2025 could play out for them, the biggest question marks, all that good stuff. The Ravens are one of the pillar franchises of the NFL, and one of the biggest reasons for that, outside of great coaching, organizational structure, is the draft. They consistently draft players that other NFL teams, for whatever reason, let fall. Late first round, late second round. Ravens take advantage. Very similar in my mind to the Philadelphia Eagles and their draft process. It feels like I see so much overlap in terms of both of these franchises and their ability to take advantage of situations that present themselves. And that leads me to the 27th overall pick with the Baltimore Ravens, Malachi Starks, right? Starks is unbelievable. For me, he was a top 10 prospect, bar none. He was the number one safety in this class, one of the top defenders in this class. And for whatever reason, the NFL always overthinks safeties. You've seen it time and time again. It's just the way it goes. One of the safeties already on the Baltimore Ravens roster had no business ever making it to them in the NFL draft. Kyle Hamilton, who might be the best safety in football. You look at Brian Branch a couple years ago, coming out of Alabama, top 10 prospect for me, somehow falls to the second round. It's unbelievable that the NFL cannot figure this thing out at safety. But it's great for the Baltimore Ravens because they now will have, in my opinion, the best safety duo in football in very short order. Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton complement each other so well. I think they both have a lot of versatility. I think you view Starks as more of the deep defender and Hamilton closer to the line of scrimmage, but they can both kind of interchange and do a lot of different things for your defense. They're going to be fantastic together. Starks is such a playmaker, so smart, so fluid on the field. I know he didn't test out of his mind, but when you watch him on the field and you watch him in the drills that actually simulate football movements, he is as smooth as they come. Strong tackler, strong coverage player, great mind, great nose for the ball. Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton, they are going to be unbelievable together. And then another example in the second round, in my opinion, of the NFL letting a player that is much better than the draft slot fall to the Ravens. Ravens take advantage. Mike Green, and I know there's some off-field question marks. I can't really dive into that stuff too much. I just don't know the person, right? So I'm not going to go there. But on the field, Mike Green is exactly the type of edge rusher the Baltimore Ravens could use, right? They've got unbelievable depth on the interior, and they added even more during the draft. I love Aeneas Peebles. But, Kyle Van Noy, unbelievably productive for them over the last couple years. Odafe Owe, a guy who's, he's a good starting edge. He's certainly not been the most productive. I like David Ojabo and Adisa Isaac. I hope they can develop more. Obviously, Ojabo's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career, but adding Mike Green, who is a ready-made DPR, designated pass rusher type, who's going to come in and be an explosive rusher, being able to hit the outside arc. He has inside spin counters. He plays violently. He plays with an edge. I think he plays like a Raven. I think these first two picks really set this defense up to take steps forward. And it was already a good group. I think they can be even better now with these two guys as potentially foundational pieces. I mean, I definitely think Malachi Starks is a foundational piece. And obviously, Ardarius Washington's injury is a huge bummer, but I think that they have more than enough to make up for that on the roster. The Ravens landing Starks and Green, and then honestly, I think them landing Emory Jones at 91. I know Emory Jones kind of fell out of favor in the draft community, NFL draft media, with this 2025 campaign, or 2024 campaign, I should say. But Emory Jones is a real talented, nasty offensive lineman who has a lot of the traits you're looking for, and he doesn't have to come in and immediately start right away necessarily. He can kind of be that versatile piece, maybe play tackle for you in a pinch, maybe play guard for you in a pinch, and at the very least, you know you're getting somebody who brings it. I think that they're going to be able to get the most out of him long term. I think he'll eventually be a starter for them. And then they also went and got Carson Vincent in the 5th round on the offensive line, and Garrett Dellinger later on. So they got some depth, some developmental guys. I think that that's exactly what they needed to do, and the Ravens had a ton of draft picks. I was a big fan of Teddy Buchanan coming out of Cal. I know that there's varying degrees of excitement about Buchanan, but you know, if he ends up developing the way I think he can with his athletic ability, playing next to Roquan Smith, and obviously Trenton Simpson's going to be trying to hold him off, I think that that could be a really nice fit. I think he does play with his hair on fire and play pretty smart. So again, that play like a Raven definitely comes into it for me. They went and drafted their kicker that they wanted to replace Justin Tucker. So obviously that's going to be big. And then, you know, the big pick for me, big couple picks, 6 rounders, Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech. I think he's a great complement to what they have on the interior of their defensive line already. They had a lot of good guys, obviously. Nnamdi Madubuike, Travis Jones, John Jenkins added. Aeneas Peebles to me comes in, and he is so difficult to get hands on as a guard because he is so explosive off the ball. And yes, he's like very light at 280 pounds, but the thing about his 280 pounds, it's not built kind of the same way as some other guys that are lighter. He's very short and squatty and low to the ground. So like he has more muscle mass than you would expect for a 280-pound interior defensive lineman because he's shorter than most of those guys. So he's naturally going to be a little bit lighter. And I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be an elite run defender, but you want to heat up the quarterback. You get Mike Green on the field. You get Aeneas Peebles, Kyle Van Noy, Nnamdi Madubuike. You're starting to be very difficult to deal with. And then you look at the secondary, again, adding Malachi Starks to go along with Kyle Hamilton, Nate Wiggins, who you drafted last year, who I think is going to have a very nice career for them. He's an unbelievable athlete. Marlon Humphrey. You have Chidobe Awuzie who comes in, and I think he's the type of player that in this Baltimore Ravens ecosystem can absolutely thrive. I've always been a big fan of his, and yes, he's dealt with some injuries and different things throughout his career, but I think that's the type of player who can thrive in this system and be an upgrade over what you had last year at outside corner with Stevenson moving over to the New York Jets. Overall, I love the direction of the Ravens. I mean, Lamar Jackson, unbelievable. Jim Harbaugh, hell of a coach. I think that what they did at offensive coordinator a few years back was brilliant. They needed to elevate the offense, the passing game specifically, adding Todd Monken, fantastic. Obviously, their defense has been pillaged, but I think Zach Orr settled in and did a really good job last year. Eric DeCosta kind of picking up right where Ozzie Smith left off several years back, right? This is an organization that has such great pillars. Even if they weren't doing a great job in the draft and free agency every year, which I think they are for the most part, I think they would still be a good football team. But they have the chance, in my opinion, to really push for it all, like for the Lombardi. And this is an organization who has hoisted the Lombardi Trophy multiple times. It's been a little while. It's been difficult for anybody in the AFC to get past the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously. And if you saw my Chiefs video, I think the Chiefs got better on both sides of the ball, especially both lines of scrimmage and at the receiver spot. Getting Rashee Rice back is going to be huge for them, and I think that Jalen Royals was a steal. Hollywood Brown getting him back healthy, and then Worthy going into year 2. Obviously, Travis Kelce's still there in the twilight of his career, but this is a team that really, in my opinion, it's not like the Chiefs beat them. It's like they beat themselves a little bit against the Chiefs. And that seems to happen to everybody when they play the Chiefs in the playoffs in the AFC. They've just so consistently been representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. It's going to be difficult to get past them, but you do love what you saw from Ronnie Stanley last year. Again, I think you have more options at guard, bringing in Emory Jones. I think that Roger Rosengarten really settled in amazingly. You have Tyler Linderbaum, one of the best young centers in the game. You added DeAndre Hopkins to go along with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. You have Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews still. I mean, it's a really good group. And Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the backfield together is as scary as it comes in the NFL. So it's a fantastic, fantastic group of players on both sides of the ball. Great coaching on both sides of the ball and from the top down. It's just difficult for me to sit here and say I think that they're going to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs if they have to take on the Chiefs. Because, again, I think the Chiefs got better at tackle specifically, offensive tackle. I think they got better across their defensive front. I think Noel Williams was a nice pick for them. And then, again, I just think having Rashee Rice back is so huge for them. And I'm not trying to bet against Patrick Mahomes a year after he loses in the Super Bowl, quite frankly. We've seen it. I'm never trying to bet against Patrick Mahomes, honestly. But we have seen we've seen one team take them down in the playoffs, right? AFC playoffs over the last, 6-7 years, something like that. Can the Ravens do it this year? I think they can. I will say that. I absolutely think they can. Will I pick them to do it? I think it's TBD in terms of like how I think these playoff matchups are going to work out and everything. That's just so far in the future. That's like a January problem. I would still, if I had to, write a name in to represent the AFC right now, I would still pick the Chiefs. But I think the Ravens absolutely can do it. They've been so close to doing it in the past. They should have had them last year. Should probably had them before as well. But beating the Chiefs in the playoffs is a hell of a thing to try to do. I think I would put the Ravens ahead of the Bills right now. The Bills are a hell of a team too. Obviously, that's the top three in the AFC. I know the Bills kind of made that bet on Joey Bosa. Don't love that for them. They're really hoping that Max Harrison, their rookie corner, is going to come in and be a huge upgrade, that Josh Palmer can provide some stability. I still look at the Ravens as a better team than the Bills. I think they are. I think the Ravens have the best chance to take down the Chiefs in the playoffs in 2025 in the AFC. Will they be able to do it? Your guess is as good as mine. Again, I'm not going to pick against Patrick Mahomes right now and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo in a one-game setting. Not going to do it. But the Ravens have the best chance in the AFC, in my opinion, because Lamar Jackson, the way he has developed throughout his career, unbelievable. Derrick Henry being in that backfield. I love getting Keaton Mitchell back after a year of injury. And I just still can't believe that they got Malachi Starks at 27 and Mike Green at 59. I think those were huge mistakes by the rest of the NFL, and way to take advantage for the Baltimore Ravens. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content here, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.